What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Kevin's Garage. Today is part one of restoring a vintage hydroplane. What we'll be working on is stripping all the paint off the boat and repairing some rot. Now, before we get started, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and that little subscribe button down there. All right, let's get working on this thing. Whew. Dusty. All right, well, I think the sanding is finally done. I wanted to get most of it down to bare wood because I'll be hitting it with a treatment that'll help stiffen it up. This wood's a little soft. I have some stuff I'll be putting on it. It's worth giving it a shot before I go ahead and pull it all apart and make replacement pieces for it. So I was going through some of the footage that I had taken yesterday and noticed that I didn't capture any of the work being done to the nose of the boat. So we're gonna go over it now. So here we got the nose of the boat, and this is what it originally looked like. And this is what majority of the rest of the boat looked like before I started sanding. And there was originally a little bit of delamination happening right in here. And so I started grinding away at it, and it just kept going and delaminating more and more all the way around. So I decided to peel the whole thing up. And while doing that, I kind of got two sheets. One is this, which is a mix of fiberglass, body filler, and a ton of different kinds of paint. It's actually pretty thick. It's probably up to 1/4 inch thick in some areas, like right here. So pretty heavy piece of body work. And underneath that, I got this, which I wasn't sure what it was at first. When this boat was being raced, it actually had airplane fabric over the nose of it that was stapled down actually to the dashboard. And looking closer, you can actually see those old staple marks. So with this piece removed, it exposes all the ribbing right there. So all this right here will eventually get covered in aircraft canvas and finished. The dashboard, nothing really goes here except for the steering wheel, but I still have some fun ideas for it. Now we need to clean it out and put on the epoxy. Huge shout out to the local Region 10 Vintage Hydroplane Facebook group. They've been awesome in helping me determine what needs to happen to this hydroplane to make it period correct. The first product we'll be using is PC Petrifier. I'll be putting it on the dashboard, and I'll have a link for it in the description below. Now we got a good look at the dash. So I put all the wood hardener on this yesterday, and it doesn't seem to have really done anything. This still moves a little bit. It does look a little bit shinier. I can't say anything to the structural rigidity of it, but it looks okay. Hoping it holds up in the long run. But the project I'm going to be working on now is getting the penetrating epoxy mixed up and put into the transom. So this piece is kind of soft. You can see a little flexing in there. And then this one's just completely rotted out. So I'm attempting the epoxy repair first. If the epoxy repair doesn't work, I'll be taking this out, using it as a template and creating a new piece to fit in there. So in order for this epoxy repair to work, it recommends having a flat surface to apply the epoxy to. In this case, I had to put the hydroplane up on its edge. So here's our first area for repair. It's nice and flat, so I'll be mixing up the epoxy and putting it down over this. And here is the repair kit. This is PC Products Rot Terminator. I've heard some good things about it, so I'm gonna give it a go. Worst case scenario, this doesn't work and I'm cutting out all new pieces for the transom. So just for good measure, I drilled a bunch of holes in there for the epoxy to soak into. It says it's penetrating, but I think I'm going to give it everything it needs to work its best. here we are 2 weeks later and it is finally dry. The instructions noted that it takes a week at 70 degrees to fully cure. Before using the penetrating epoxy, I could get almost 1/8 of an inch in the middle of the transom. Now there is no movement. Before applying the epoxy, if I applied this much pressure on it, it would have broken. After applying the epoxy, it barely moves. It feels like normal plywood again. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of holes that will get filled during the fairing process, but that's for a later episode. So overall, I think that the rot repair was a success. Comparing the wood hardener and the rot terminator, I definitely gotta say I recommend the rot terminator. The wood hardener just doesn't cut it for this project. So if you're interested in either of these products, I'll have links in the description. That wraps up this episode of Kevin's Garage. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see part 2 of the vintage hydroplane restoration. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.